This is my new 635 CSI, and I'm very excited to show you guys it. It's starting to rain, but I had to get this video out there. Last weekend I took a trip to Tennessee because I got a call from actually the guy I bought my first ever 635 CSI from and my third ever BMW. So this is years ago. He called me and he said, hey, my buddy has a 635 CSI. It doesn't run. It's been sitting for over a year. He wants it gone. You're the first person I thought to contact. And I said, thank you very much. You were very right about that because I will come down and get it. So that's just what I did. I went down there for the weekend and I came home with a beautiful 635 CSI. So this car is a 1985 635 CSI finished in metallic Polaris, same color as my E28. They are literally brothers. I didn't even realize that. This is a black interior sport car, and even cooler is this car is believed, and it seems that this actually was imported from Europe at a later date. And I'll show you guys why I think that. So that's really cool. Anyway, I'm gonna come behind the camera, walk you guys around this car, show you guys some of the cool things, and then later we'll get in the garage, hopefully get it running, and hopefully take it for a spin. Hopefully it's a quick fix. So it was storming last night, so this car's a little wet and covered in like tree stuff, but going around the car, this car was resprayed some years ago and it was done pretty good. The paint itself is very nice. It shines nice. It has a few imperfections around like trims and stuff, like where they taped it because they didn't take all the stuff off. So around the edges, it's a little rough, but otherwise the paint's really nice. It's got this sweet black pinstripe, which actually looks very slick on this car. Polaris is a beautiful color, Polaris silver. I really like it, metallic color. It's got some chips and stuff all around, but otherwise, like, it's very clean. Coming along the front here, it's got the 85 later model air dam, or actually, I don't know. I know my 633 had just the chin. It didn't have a dam. I don't know if the later models all had it or just the sports had it. And I believe this is a sport car because it has sports seats and stuff like that. So someone can maybe correct me on that. Exterior is very nice. It's equipped with the original wheels, I heard. I didn't even realize that because these cars never have the OG wheels on them. But original wheels. Coming along, we got the spoiler, which I believe is also a sport thing. And 635 CSI badge with the black underlay, which I've usually seen on Euro cars. And this car is actually believed to be a Euro car for a few reasons. First off, we ran the Carfax and it doesn't start until 2001. That's a bit weird, and I don't think any other situation aside from a car being imported would the Carfax not start until over 15 years after the car was, came out. So that's kind of weird. But otherwise is take a look at where the plate's supposed to go. So now we all know what a US plate looks like with the 4 holes, 2 top, 2 bottom. Well, this one only has 2 middle, and a US plate does not actually fit in this slot. And I did not know this about 635s because I thought even American or Euro, all like those cars, E34 stuff, fit the same plates. This is a different dimension. So I don't know what changes. I don't know if they change the whole shape. I don't know if the boot comes down more. I don't know if this is raised up more, but a US plate will not fit this car. And that is kind of my main giveaway there. So between that and the Carfax, it's kind of screaming it was brought over. And then really quickly, I'll show you guys on the interior before we get into the actual interior. If you come over and you look at the fuel consumption, that is liters per 100 kilometers. That's a Euro thing. And then climate controls, that's in Celsius. So as far as the inside goes, those are the only 2 things that indicate European, which is weird because the rest of this cluster is in, US spec. So why that didn't change is weird. And then this is in English. So I don't know. I don't know what the import process was like back in the day, but I believe these cars have to be federalized, which is what would have happened to this car. Some cars stay Euro, but for the most part when they come in, they have to get the American stuff. So American bumpers, American, cluster stuff. What that means for like the engine, I really have no idea. I think it's just an M30. I'm sure it's not an M90. I don't know much about these 80s. These cars are very unique, the 80s. A lot of weird stuff happened, a lot of cool things, but the exhaust, every hanger's missing, so the exhaust is hanging down pretty low. We got to get that fixed. We got the trims are a little goofed up, but nothing major. Now let's come along to the interior, which to me is even the cooler part of this car. So sport interior in black, So you got the sports seats, which are a rare and very special entity on these cars, and they're actually in decent shape. My old 635 Sport had seat covers because the seats were so worn. These definitely are beginning to split and wear, and they are in desperate need of conditioning, but otherwise they are there, and that's really cool because sports seats are sweet. Back seats, really good condition. I always loved 635 CSIs and the back seats and how it's a little bucket seat. Your butt fits in there really nicely. Black interior is a really nice color on these cars. I think it's kind of rare. Headliner is in not so good shape. We got the door cards here. I believe this opens. Yep, storage compartment. Another thing I love about 635s is the chrome in the inner doors. I think it's just really cool, or aluminum or whatever. Super 80s, like the E9s have that. It's just a very like unique thing. I think out of all the BMWs, these cars screamed like future retro stuff, because like even E28s don't have like stuff like this. These had a very unique, very well built interior. Then you come on in, the dash cracked up, of course. It's been sitting outside in Tennessee and southern states. You got this wheel here, which I'm not sure which wheel it is. I don't know if this is a Euro wheel or what. I don't even know if it's supposed to have this, but yeah, not so sure about the wheel. We got our check control here, which I think we got power. Yeah, so check control works, so that's cool. Cluster. Got all these things. I've actually never seen an ABS light like that on the cluster. I think that's kind of a weird looking light. I don't believe we have a working fuel gauge because I know there's fuel in it and there's nothing there. Previous owner cleaned out the gas tank and stuff, so that's going to need to be like, I'm going to have to check that out. It says 249K. If it's right, I don't know. Otherwise, the cluster, you know, a lot of 635s, you guys might not know this, have this like speckled inside the cluster look, and a lot of people think, including myself when I first bought one, oh, that's a very cool, unique, like 80s retro-y theme. No, that's actually mold. These clusters were notorious to mold on the inside because the way they just made them. So if your cluster has that, it is mold. It is better to get one of these like rebuilt, refurbished, which I'm gonna probably do for this one because it seems like some things are squirrely and like the service interval lights don't work. So I'm guessing that the board right there leaked out and ruined the SI board, ruined the service interval lights, but we'll see. Otherwise, here's all your climate controls. I can't remember if this dash is more like my early model car, my late model car. It's been a while, like I said. We got all the controls here. These 80s cars always have the most unique controls. We got a Sony mobile radio system, so it plugs in and then you could take it with you. I don't think this works. It doesn't have any power. So, and then we got the check control right here, which is in metric as well, but I've had a lot of American cars that are in metric here, so I can't say that that's anything special. Ashtray, 5-speed shifter, and like I said, this thing just shifts very crisp. It's not a dog leg, but it shifts nice. So I also don't know the history on, you know, if this is a Euro car, why it doesn't have a dog leg, but I don't know. Inside the dash there, we got a couple spare parts, or a glove, couple spare parts, but nothing major. So you guys know E24s come with the hoods that open up like this. And then here is our engine bay. So nothing really too special in here. 3235, this should be an M30B34. I'm next to positive this is not a Euro motor. So I really don't know if it came over from Europe. I don't think they replaced the engines. Did some European cars just have M30s? I really don't know. Hopefully someone can chime in on that. I'll probably do my research after this video. But fuse box covers on there, which is cool. Seems to be a little low in coolant. Oh, actually, you know, it doesn't have coolant in it, the guy told me, so we'll have to get to that. What else? BMW Polaris Metallic. Here is our stamp. Made in West Germany. I think any car would say that, though. 635 CSI. I don't know what any of these other numbers mean. There's the VIN. To protect your investment, genuine parts. It says it was converted to R134, which is cool, and it was done in Virginia, so that's interesting. So I guess this car was Virginia, maybe not Georgia. I'm gonna break my back trying to organize all these cars and get this thing in the garage, and then hopefully we will get to go for a spin in this thing. I noticed this as soon as he cranked it at his house, and I'm gonna play it for you guys too. It may be hard to hear through the camera, But when you know these cars well enough, you know the noises they're supposed to make when cranking. And these cars make a very distinctive like spark sound. You can hear the car sparking, like spark plugs. You can hear it. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm gonna crank it and you guys will notice if you own one of these, it sounds a little different. I hope you guys can hear it, but you might not be able to, but take my word for it. See, no spark, no ticking of spark. We have to figure out what's going on here with the spark. So now I have a spark plug here out, hooked up, and we're gonna look at that just to verify in case you can't hear the difference. We're gonna visually check. So you have it, no spark on the spark plug. We just confirmed there is no spark, right? But now what we have to do is go through the dummy checks of seeing where the no spark is coming from. It can either come from the coil, the cap, or the rotor, or later down, you know, main relay, stuff like that. We're just gonna go ahead and make sure that it is in fact not the cap and the rotor. So now we're gonna pop this spare spark plug right on the ignition coil cap where it feeds the cap and rotor. And what this will tell us is if it is the cap and the rotor not allowing us to spark. So if this sparks now, then that means the coil is good. That means the issue lies there. So let's go ahead and find out if this will be an easy job of just replacing a cap and a rotor. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we're gonna go ahead and check for voltage on the coil to make sure the ignition switch is good. So terminal 15, and then maybe just a ground. Okay, and you probably can't see it, but the multimeter is reading 12 volts. So we have voltage at the coil. So ignition switch is good. So I guess now we check the coil itself, and with that we need to turn the ignition off really quick. We're gonna check the resistance between the positive and the negative on this coil, and it should be 0.5 ohms, 0.7 ohms. So that's not exactly what it should be, but I don't think that's bad. So now we're gonna go ahead and check and see what the resistance is between the positive and the tower itself. Okay, it's about 5,400, so that is also good. So I would say we have a good coil here. I'm kind of thinking that this is gonna end up being a crank sensor issue because the crank sensor connectors are both broken completely. They're so brittle, and the wires look like hell. So I'm guessing those will have to be replaced, but I'm gonna keep going through the guides with you guys here. Our next step in this troubleshooting process comes over here to the main relay, and we are going to make sure that this has power. There should be battery power at the posts of this relay. That is how you know your relay computer in the car is working, and it's pin 86 that should have power. So we gotta find which pin is what here. 86 is gonna be the one closest to the engine, and then we're gonna check that amongst 30, which is this vertical pin. And this should be giving us 12 volts. 12 volts. All right, so the OBC relay box that was giving me issues on my old E30, that is good. So that means let's go ahead and replace this main relay and see if we just get really lucky. Still no spark. So main relay is not the culprit. And that very quickly brings us to the two crank position sensors. This is a 85, so it's got the two bell housing mounted sensors. An 88, 89 with the B35 will have the front one, so you only have one. But if you look here, these sensors, I probably can't see, completely shot. Let me show you that real quick. This is why I mentioned this earlier. This is what my crank sensors look like. The connector completely broken. The wires right there are out of their looms and probably touching. My guess is these are both shot. This one's gonna break as soon as I pull it out. Yep, the rest of it stayed in there, of course. So these need attention. So I have two spares. We're gonna throw those in, and if we're lucky, this car will start right up. I'll come underneath the 635. Actually, it's pretty good under here. A little seepy from all the usual suspects, but nothing too bad. So first off, we gotta remove this little protective cover from these crank sensors, which I've actually never seen before. And now here is our crank sensors. These honestly look original. I'm surprised that These weren't thought to be replaced, and they're dirty, so that's even better. Usually one of these is speed, one of these is just reference, I think. And I believe from what I've heard is one will allow fuel if it goes bad, it will still allow fuel, and one will stop both. So if this car was getting fuel, which I haven't even checked, but the previous owner told me it was, then I'm guessing only one of these is bad, but we're gonna do them both. So yeah, these look horrible. Oh, there's those. So get the wires and connect them. Like I said, I don't know what's what, so we'll just guess. Plug this bad boy in. Nope, still no spark. I'm gonna swap these around just to be sure. Oh, it did change something. You guys hear that? That sounds like spark. Because now it's making the clicking. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but I heard it here. Sounds like we're getting spark. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the spark plug out and confirm. So we have restored spark. It was the freaking crank sensors, and I hooked them up the wrong way the first time, but the second time they were hooked up properly. Running M30. So after I cut and said I gotta look over a few things, I tested the fuel pump relay, I tested the fuel pump fuse, and I hard powered the fuel pump, and the fuel pump kicked on, and basically I ended up just coming up and cranking the car a few times and it started. I don't know what it is, but these old cars, man, and I knew, you know, when you have a working fuel pump relay and a working fuel pump, unless the wiring is gone in the middle, which is kind of rare, you have a running car. And sometimes they just take a lot of cranking to get going again. This car has not been running in a long time. And like I said, the previous owner did a gas tank. He took the gas tank out and cleaned it and stuff. So it had no fuel in the lines, and it just took a while to get there. So as soon as we restored spark, we basically had a running car. So oil looks fine. So the filter actually gives you a little thing for you to drain it before you dump it and take it down, so you can get all the oil out of it, which is pretty nice. So that's cool. Well, not much, but all right. We still left a little bit of a mess. It's all good though. Filter looks fine. No major particles in it, no metal shavings, just typical crud. Now this filter housing is labeled front, so you do have to put it in a certain way, I guess. So for M30s, I am a fan of the Valvoline VR1. This is the stuff that is 20W50, and it's high in zinc. It's made for what it says, like flat tappet and push rod engine, so it's made for old stuff, which is what this is. M30s want a lot of zinc. This has a lot of zinc, so. Alright, welcome to the 635. I have not driven one of these cars in a long time. Cooling system bled good, temps look good, everything seems to be good running wise. Decent amount of smoke out of the exhaust, but this car's been dormant for a long time, so I think after this drive we will eliminate that. The tires are like 22 years old, so I know I shouldn't be riding on them, but just for this first drive we're gonna see how they are. Otherwise, things are pretty nice in here. It shifts really nice, like really nice. The clutch bites really nice. The brakes are firm, but I guess they're not really spongy. They're a little spongy, but they're firm. Hard to explain, but Like this G265, I see why people spend the money on, because, dude, it shifts nice compared to a G260. Not that G260s are horrible, but if this mileage matches this engine and transmission, that is 249,000 miles, and this G265 shifts like freaking amazing. Tires need to be replaced absolutely ASAP. Window seal on that driver's door, on the passenger door, is shot. But let's see, I don't have any heat going. I don't think the blower motor works. Oh, it's hot in here. Let's do a little pull in third, see how she goes. This smoke I would like to eliminate. Holy crap, this thing's smoking like crazy. It's kind of smoking out the road. But the temp is not hot, and it's not blue smoke, it's white smoke. So unless this head gas gets completely blown and it's just absolutely chiefing coolant, then we should be all right. But blown head gasket I don't think would hold temp, so that's kind of weird to me. I guess we'll see when I park if it's low on coolant, but I don't really think we should have issues with the head gasket. I mean, it's definitely smoking pretty good. This thing sounds sweet. So a little second gear pull. Alright, we got a little stuttering up top. That's usually a cap and a rotor. Oh, we have no speedometer. I didn't realize that. So we have no fuel and we have no speedometer. So that's probably a cluster issue. It probably needs a cluster, which is typical. Man, it's still smoking though. What the hell? It's running pretty good. Up top, definitely struggling to hit the red line, which is, you know, like I said, a cap and a rotor and ignition thing. But temp is staying good. I just wish the smoke would subside. Okay, so we've developed a really bad bucking problem. I just had to pull over and let it subside. Let's see if it comes back, if I can make it home. The car looks like it wants to get hot, but it's kind of all over the place. And now half this cluster is acting weird, and these E24 clusters are notorious for it. So I don't know if I want to attribute it to the car's cooling system itself, or if we are having issues with this cluster. I'm probably gonna need to dive into this car a lot more than I thought I would. So it looks like I'll probably just do a water pump and all that stuff. The thermostat looks like it was replaced. But, oh, yep, see, there you go. You floor it, and we just lost all power. Now, it will return to neutral, and you can get it to kind of start up again, but you cannot floor it. It'll just buck like it's not getting fuel. I don't know if it's a fuel thing or a spark thing, but yeah, you can't go over. It was all right. Now it won't go over a quarter throttle. I have to return back to neutral and then let it fall to neutral, and then it will kind of pick back up. But if you're in neutral stopped, oh no, you can't rev it. Sometimes it'll go, sometimes it won't go. Well, we're gonna have to do some stuff to this car. It actually stopped smoking, so that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna get this thing home and probably end it here, because this was the intro video, and we got to do our first drive, and that's all we could really ask for. but we're gonna need to dig into this thing. So stay tuned for the next episode. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll be seeing a lot more of this thing on the channel, I guess. So thanks for watching. See ya.